What is going on, everyone? I hope you are all having a fantastic day. So, if you know who I am, then chances are you know who Stephan is. And if you know who Stephan is, then you may have heard that he recently launched his own coffee company called Bankroll Coffee. And as a huge fan of Stephan and a bit of a coffee connoisseur myself, naturally, I wanted to try out the product and see what I thought. But a coffee review doesn't exactly fit the niche of my channel. However, saving money by responsibly buying affordable coffee does relate to my channel. So, in today's video, number one, let's make some really good coffee and talk about my plan to save $450,000 by buying Stephan's Bankroll Coffee. All right, let's jump right into it. All right, before we break down all of the numbers, let's quickly make some coffee. This is why we don't make coffee in the studio. Alright, I know you were all probably wondering, how in the world do I plan on saving nearly $500,000 by buying someone else's coffee? Well, I'm glad you asked, and the math all works out and makes sense thanks to our friends over at Starbucks. Not sponsored. But seriously, I'm sure you have heard myself or others in the finance niche talk about how you can legitimately become a multi-millionaire by investing just a few dollars per day, as long as you, number one, start early, and number two, stay consistent and don't dump all of your money into Dogecoin. But oftentimes, people either push off their investing for way too long, get overwhelmed and don't know how to get started, or worst of all, just don't care and don't think it's important. And while investing might not be important to those individuals, getting their overpriced cup of coffee from Starbucks every day is important. And that's where all of the fun math begins. So the average price of a Starbucks cup of coffee is around $3 depending on where you live. And I know that some of you will probably say that's too low, some might say that that's too high, but that's the thing about an average, it's right around the middle. So if we take $3 per cup times 365 days in a year, assuming you have 1 cup per day, then that means that your daily cup of coffee from Starbucks would cost you $1,095 per year. Okay, $1,000 a year on coffee sounds pretty bad, but it's not like it's gonna keep you from being financially free, right? Wrong. In fact, if you instead invested your $1,095 each year at an 8% annual average return, which is fairly conservative, then over the course of your working career between the ages of 20 and 65, your daily cup of coffee would have turned into over $500,000. Now, you might be thinking that that is an extreme example, but there's actually a number of surveys and studies that have found that the average annual spending on coffee in the US per person is actually over $2,000, which is double what our estimate says. And while I am by no means suggesting that you should completely cut out coffee or some other small purchase that brings you a lot of joy, it is important that we look at the entire situation and find a cost-effective way to enjoy that thing, which is coffee in this case. And that's where Bankroll Coffee comes into the equation. Now, obviously, this video is not sponsored by Bankroll Coffee, and I'm just using this as an example because I'm sure a lot of you know who Stephan is. And I think that it's a really good product, but needless to say, the numbers on this are really going to work out regardless of what brand of coffee you use. Alright, so at the time of recording this video, this bag of Bankroll coffee, which is the 20-cent coffee, costs $8.99. And there is a $5 shipping. However, if you buy multiple bags at once, then that shipping cost is waived. And assuming you're actually going to make this part of your regular daily routine, then it's very probable that you're going to actually buy multiple bags at once, meaning you won't have to pay shipping. Now, on the Bankroll website, it says that you can get 66 cups of coffee out of each 12-ounce bag, and I'm no coffee expert, but personally, I think that that's a little bit of a stretch, unless you like really watered-down, weak coffee. But definitely take a look at the website because they do have their math and numbers and the breakdown of everything, so some of you might find that really interesting. So, with the ratio that I use and the way that I like my coffee, I was able to get about 32 cups of coffee out of each 12-ounce bag. And personally, I only drink 1 cup of coffee each day, meaning I would need to buy about 11 bags of coffee each year. Now, I use a French press, which means I don't need to buy paper filters, and I buy this 32-ounce French vanilla creamer from Walmart, which is $2.77. And I use just a splash of that in each cup, which is about 0.375 ounces per cup, meaning each creamer will last me about 85 cups of coffee, which means I'll have to buy about 4 of these each year. So all of that means that I would spend about $98.89 on coffee beans and $11.08 on creamer, bringing my annual total to just $109.97. That means that for the whole year, not only did I get to drink what I feel is a much better cup of coffee each day, but I also saved $985.03, which is a savings of about $2.70 per cup of coffee when compared to the Starbucks example that we talked about earlier. So if we take our annual savings of $985.03 and plug it into the exact same investing example that we talked about earlier in the video, which again was an 8% annual return on average over the course of your working life from 20 to 65, then that means that making some really good Bankroll coffee at home instead of buying Starbucks will turn our savings into $455,946.18. Now, I completely realize that this is an extreme example that is meant to show you what a huge impact those small daily financial decisions can have on your long-term financial health. Maybe you buy coffee that's more expensive, or you use a different creamer or paper filters, or you have some really expensive coffee machine that throws off all of this math. So yes, I fully acknowledge that this is in many ways the best case scenario. But again, my point here is that these small decisions of, for example, making your own coffee and not buying Starbucks or some other overpriced fancy brand is all it takes in many ways to change your entire financial outlook going forward. Now, maybe you're watching this and you absolutely hate coffee, and if that's the case, then first of all, I applaud you for still watching at this point in the video. But I hope you know that this sort of thing and this lesson that I'm trying to teach you applies to any number of financial decisions and not just your daily coffee purchases. Maybe you go out to eat really often, or have a really high car payment that you know you should get rid of, or maybe you have student debt that has been lingering for a long time. Regardless of what it is, a small change of just a few dollars per day can really add up over time, especially when we're talking about investing the difference. So whether it's coffee or something completely different, I highly encourage you to do a deep dive into your monthly spending and budget and try to find those small repeat decisions that in the moment feel like a few dollars here and a few dollars there, but in the long term can really start to add up. And again, I'm not saying that you should completely remove those things from your life, because as I've talked about in previous videos, those small purchases are often the ones that bring us the most joy. But what I am saying is that you might want to think about some more cost-effective ways to achieve the same end result, plus by then investing the money that you're saving, you're really going to set yourself up for a much better financial future. So I know this was a very different video than what we usually talk about here on the channel, but I hope this once again reiterates the fact that financial freedom is not difficult, it just takes a lot of discipline. And unfortunately for a lot of people, your overpriced coffee every day is a great example of a lack of discipline. So this video is not sponsored by Bankroll Coffee, and you can get your coffee from wherever you want, but I will leave a link down in the description below to the website if you do want to check out some of their math and numbers and pick up a bag of Bankroll coffee yourself. And I'd also love to know what your favorite coffee is, even though that has absolutely nothing to do with this channel, or if you're not a coffee person, what are those small decisions that you are making in your monthly spending that you feel could have some serious long-term impacts on your financial health? As always, if you did get value out of this content and you want to help support me, the easiest way to do that is checking out some of my favorite financial tools down in the description below, many of which will give you some free money when you sign up, which is always we love a lot. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more content like this in the future. And of course, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to watch my video. I really do appreciate that so much. Take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one.